Okay. 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 So the first question says, what is the central theme of chapter 1 in Race First by Tony Martin? And anyone can take a shot at it.
I think I have a shot if no one else does.
All right.
Chapter 1 was it's almost like an autobiography of Garvey's life, and um, it's almost as if they had the highlights of events that took place throughout the years of Garvey's life.
Yes, that is correct. Anyone else want to take a shot at it? If no other volunteer, we can go ahead and display the answer. There is some of within this answer is some of what Brother John touched on. So the central theme of chapter 1 is the historical background and foundational principle of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and the influence of Marcus Garvey in promoting Black pride, economic self-sufficiency, and the overall upliftment of people of African descent globally. Any additional questions, comments? Anyone would like to add anything to that? Question, comments, or concerns on the first question? Okay, so let's advance to question 2. How does Marcus Garvey's early life and experience shape his vision for the UNIA? And anyone can take a shot at answering.
No one else is going to try. I'll take a shot.
Okay.
Um, um, I know he said his parents were like, his father was a Maroon, like a revolutionary or a descendant of revolutionaries. He talked about his family being hardworking. And I remember later in his life, this was probably, yeah, this is not, I don't know if this would count as early life experience, but well, I guess it would. When he first started traveling throughout the world, he said that the conditions of our people were consistent, and that was part of his inspiration to create the UNIA and try to uplift the race.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was almost troubling, to him. Anyone else would like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think the way he was raised prepared him immensely because his father was a avid reader. He used to do a lot of reading. So he took that from his father. Not only that, his father was kind of strict because he wanted him to be prepared for whatever he might run into in the world. So he did some harsh things to him, which prepared him for life. And I thought that was good. The one thing that sticks out to me is when his father put him in the. His father used to work in the graveyard, and when he dug a grave out, he put him in there and kept him in there overnight, so he could build up his uh, reliance on himself and to strengthen his mind. And I thought that was pretty pretty outstanding.
Absolutely.
But if you do that, you're going to jail. But
If you do that to me, I'd probably have a heart attack. But
yeah,
they kind of captured that part too in that movie that made. But yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing.
yeah.
Any additional question, comments, or concerns on that one? We can go ahead and reveal the answer if no one else has anything to add. So essentially, we touched on some of this already, that Marcus Garvey's early life in Jamaica and his experience with racial discrimination and colonialism shaped his vision for the UNIA. And then, as we touched on as well, that he witnessed, just by him witnessing the oppression of Black people and lack of opportunities just about everywhere he went, he became determined to promote racial pride, unity, and economic independence for Africans worldwide. Okay. And if no one else wish to add anything to that, question 3 says, describe the initial goals and objectives of the UNIA as outlined in chapter 1. Does anyone remember 1, 2, or all of it? Part of it?
Yes.
Calling once, going twice. We can go ahead and reveal the answers. The answer for chapter 3. So the initial goals and objective of the UNIA included the establishment of educational institutions, the promotion of Black-owned businesses, the creation of and the ultimate goal of repatriation to Africa. So basically, the organization sought to empower Black people through self-reliance, as we were just discussing, and Garvey got that from the tough encounters that he had to go through from his strict dad, and then just basically accomplishing things through our collective efforts. Would anyone else like to add to that? If not, we'll move on to question 4. What was Marcus Garvey's philosophy regarding economic empowerment for Black people? And if no one wants to volunteer an answer,
He felt that we should be able to establish our own support system and our own factories and businesses and all that we need to survive, to live.
that is correct. That is correct. Anyone want to add anything else? If no one wants to add anything else, all the above that
Yeah,
Brother Art touched on. Go ahead, Brother John. Brother John, I thought you wanted to add to it. So again, it centered around self-sufficiency, the creation of Black-owned businesses. He believed that economic independence was crucial for the liberation and upliftment of Black people. And he advocated for the establishment of a Black economy that would support and sustain the community. So all of that includes some of the things that Brother Art just touched on. Anyone wish to add to that question, the answer to that question? Question, comments, concerns? If not, we'll move on to question 5, which says to explain the significance of Garvey's motto. Our motto: one God, one aim, one destiny. As discussed in chapter 1. Anyone want to give it a shot?
I'm not sure on this.
Okay. All right. So we can go ahead and reveal the answer to that question. Okay. So Garvey's motto, one God, one aim, one destiny, encapsulates the UNIA's mission of uniting Black people under a common cause of racial uplift and solidarity. It signifies a shared spiritual belief, a collective goal for self-improvement and empowerment, and a common destiny of achieving freedom and equality for all people of African descent. If no one wants to add anything else to that, let's go on to question 6. Question 6 is, how did the global political and social climate during Garvey's time influence the formation and growth and growth of the UNIA.
See that? Let me see what it says.
Mama Mina, you wanted to take a stab at it?
No, where is, I'm trying to find the page with the questions on it. What was it again?
I kind of explained a little bit earlier that unlike last week questions, they're not really arranged like that. They're a little bit, these questions are a little bit different. I mean, I put the date of the occurrence of the event last week, but this week I didn't really do it in that manner. So it's really kind of hard to follow the page where it's on. So, but just from our memory, I know it's a lot covered in chapter 1, but just from our memory, you know, it's not really laid out the way the book is, but it's all from chapter 1. So we can kind of take a shot at it, and, you know, there's like no really wrong answer. You know, it doesn't have to be answered as it comes out of the book, unless we're like in the book, and right now we're not necessarily, our heads are not necessarily like in the book, but we're taking everything from chapter 1. And so when we do our review, then it'll be more organized, like, you know, what page and all this stuff from the chapter, because there was a lot in chapter 1. But it's all the beginning part. So does anyone want to take a shot at it? How the global political and social climate during Garvey's time influenced the formation and growth of the UNIA?
I just remember, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hello? Go ahead, Brother Nkosi.
Oh, all good. Appreciate that, President. Great first, everybody. I'm a novice with this. I'm very green or infantile with this, but I would imagine, like, as far as my interpretation of the climate, the social climate, the economic climate during the Honorable Martin Luther Garvey's time, when he was in the process of either building or stabilizing the great organization of the UNIA, is that I think, as far as it being a common factor, or common knowledge, that the economy was like, as far as for the Black person who lived under a rock, it was I think maybe it was becoming common knowledge that there is a global economy, that the economy extends outside of their community, outside of their local community, and even a national community, maybe, you know, for the people for the Blacks or the Negro that was that lived under a rock. And so I think it gave for the people that was involved, like holistically, seriously within the UNIA, like a sense of initiative and responsibility that like culminated all of what I would assume they was understanding and learning about the people, well, everybody, you know, from each I don't know if you call it department, or each factor within the UNIA, from the Cubs to the leadership, that, you know, it's a huge place that the Negro, that the Black must take, as far as being involved in civilization building, and that based off on I guess again, common knowledge that nobody was gonna do anything for them, nobody was gonna do anything for the Black besides them. And as far as the global economy, is like, it was a serious sense of responsibility and initiative one must have, especially being African, and to actually not only challenge or have the inertia to challenge the global, every other race's attempt to monopolize the economy globally, but dang, it's just I don't know. I don't know how to distill it, but I can't really imagine, like, you know, with a Negro, an African person, you know, just coming knowledge yourself, just getting over the fact that, you know what I'm saying, you can stand up. Well, you can not even just you can, but you must stand up to threats that's outside of your race, and then you gotta also build up an empire, or you gotta build up an empire on a global stand, and also keeping a line with your humanity towards the Creator. So you know, it was just, I don't know. To me, it's kind of like, oh, I'm in the place where it's kind of overwhelming. Be like just during that time in the before in the 20th century, just being independent, you know, and like being independent and saying that you're not gonna, you know, go shoe sign. Well, you're not gonna ask for anything from nobody besides yourself. And I don't know how to encapsulate it, but
No, that's amazing. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good encapsulation of all of it. It was you can feel, like you were just saying, it was overwhelming. And so in the while Garvey was in the depth of kind of studying the whole situation, you can sense the urgency, because on one of his quotation, he was saying that if we're not careful, I mean, he was talking about race annihilation, because the people with no economy, no job, no land, you know, is destined for annihilation. And like you said, you know, the whole idea of creating all the businesses was to be doing for self and building our own empires, so to speak. So that was a really good synopsis of some of the climate. So that was great. That was awesome. That's ECOS, right? ECOS?
Right first, Madam Vice President.
Nkosi. Thank you for that, Brother Nkosi. That was great.
Yeah, I was just
Madam Vice President, may I also add something right quick?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Race first again, and also too, just the concept of building up a business independently that's going to be on the global market. That whole like planning process to say that, and also like to have the type of like self-honor and respect and integrity to say like, all right, I understand that, you know, and the self-responsibility, self-accountability. Say like, okay, I understand that it wasn't more or less just my fault on why I'm in this predicament, and at the same time, it was my fault that I'm in this predicament because the other fellow saw, you know, to paraphrase from Dr. Amos Wilson, when the other fellow saw a tree that a cow or something like that wasn't being viewed as a sacred item. They actually economized that cow, you know, and so based off on their own principles or their own delineation from I guess their spiritual concept, and that's the same thing and they put it on the global market, and so it's like, I feel like when it comes to the African, the Black person that's just coming into self, that's just saying like, okay, we have to be a race first mentality to say that not only are we have sacred items or sacred ways, we also must put those sacred items, not prostitute them or exploit them, but we have to figure out a way for lack of better words, to scientifically like approach our sacred items in a way where it's not being exploited or prostituted, but it is going to be in some reference on the market, but in a way where it's only going to just benefit. It is only going to like benefit the African race in a healthy aspect, where, you know, you in order to reap from this sacred item, you have to approach it in a sacred way. And so
you have to approach themselves
like
in a sacred way, because they have not been seen as sacred in the past. this is like 50 years after slavery. So these people had to rebuild whoever they were inside, because these people on this continent, I mean, these white folks who came here had tried to knock it out of them. So they had to rebuild
Absolutely.
who they were,
Absolutely.
who their
So
people were. They came here knowing that they were, some good people. I mean, and talked about civilizations. Civilization started on the continent in Africa. These crackers came later, without a
yes.
doubt.
Yes. So it's all about accountability, respect for self, respect for the race. And it's almost as if, I mean, Garvey couldn't have showed up at a better time. That was so needed. And
Without a
yeah,
doubt. You see, even though he appealed to Du Bois, well, Du Bois was an integrationist. Garvey
right.
said, "Black man, stand up and do for yourself. Look at
Absolutely.
every other race of people in this world. They do for themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Up,
Yeah.
you mighty race, accomplish what you will."
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
It's, I feel like we could be on the global economy part for a long time, because I feel like we should, like, it's as far as being an entrepreneur, like you gotta look at the global scheme, the global scheme of things. Like it was some stuff I was looking at that was talking about Congress, like how the Congress and the people that work for Congress, like what they do. Oh, just to simplify, like how studying like how to pass tests. Most people that, like, you know what I'm saying, when we go, well, the way that I approached the test initially was, I tried to believe in myself that I had the right intellect to be able to memorize this stuff, or at least see the patterns and things, and be able to, like, transfer that type of knowledge to the test, to the actual the test day or whatever. But you come to find out that the people that's looking at the global market, and they approaching the global market on what they can benefit from it ethnically, that they study how to take the test. Like, they study, they study the test. They take, and it's not just it's not just examination that they go about trying to pass these tests. Like, more or less they kind of already have the test, passed down from their predecessors, or they know the people who made the test, and they have some type of correlation with it. Now, yeah. So it's and so that's why I appreciate the Garveyistic approach, as far as being able to acknowledge sacredness, and also belief in self, knowing that I can somebody is cheating, I can feel somebody is doing something maybe unconventional as far as the structure of truth. I can go at it and apply my lessons built from the leadership course of the African course of philosophy, school of philosophy, and apply these principles to having some type of backbone. So, for lack of better words, so the sacredness and the global market.
Absolutely, Brother Kosi. So, and you're right. It's a study, and what Garvey did while he was traveling, he was studying. He was seeing what was going on economically. He saw the plight, and he was determined. He said that he was on a high mission from God, and he was determined to change that. So, we got a lot of questions, and I totally appreciate the answers and the dialogue. But just for time, we can kind of, because it's really easy to run with these questions when they're not like directly from the book, because there's not like a direct answer. But yeah, I totally appreciate that. And yeah, so just for the sake of kind of advancing a little bit, we'll go to the next question. And if no one else has anything else to add to that. So, wait, I'm sorry. We go to the answer for that question. My bad. So that was right. So the answer here is, it says that the global political and social climate, marked by colonialism, racial segregation, and the aftermath of World War I, greatly influenced the formation and growth of the UNIA. There was widespread racial oppression that Garvey noticed while in his travel, and the rise of nationalistic movements around the world highlighted the need for unified effort to combat racial injustice and promote self-determination for Black people. So Garvey's message was resonating um, with many Black people who are experiencing the struggle. If you remember, some of the things that he had to do was fight for the workers, and he even lost his first job when he was on that fight. So just the commonality and the common struggle amongst Black people was one of the reasons for the rapid growth. And and today it's a little different, but the realization that we still have a long way to go, and the realization of some of the trickeries that are used today, it's not as blatant, but if we search and we look around, we see that there's still some form of oppression. So unity is not something that's going to end, even when you're united way more than you are today. It's I mean, the Jewish people is a good example. They don't stop uniting because they control most of the economies. They still continue on that unity. They don't forget where they come from, and that's what we have to do. But so let's go ahead and look at question 7. It says, what role did Garvey's envision? What role did Garvey envision for Africa in the liberation of Black people worldwide? What were some of the things that Garvey was envisioning for Africa?
His vision was for all Black people to return to Africa, to build it up.
Yes. Yes. That was one. Anyone wants to add anything else to that? Any other questions, comments? Okay, so if not, we can go ahead and.
Madam President, could you please repeat that question again, please? I apologize.
No worries. It says, what role did Garvey envision for Africa in the liberation of Black people worldwide?
I don't want to lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay. I have something from not necessarily race first, but something called the theology of Marcus Garvey. Africa had a glorious past, and that the Black people of the New World were destined to help redeem it and regenerate it, and that led powerful impetus to the missionary movement. Okay, this is theology of Black. Theology. This is the theology of Marcus Garvey. I haven't been able to access my race.
Yes.
So it
That's
had a
spot
glorious
on.
past for
That's
sure.
pretty spot.
It had a
Yes.
glorious past, but what did these people do? Not only did they steal us all there, but anything that you want to hear about Africa was bad. You had African Americans. I don't want to go to no
Right.
Africa.
That's
Everything
what brought.
about the continent was wrong.
Right.
So they had to
Yes.
reestablish that dialogue.
Yes. So
It's not a
Garvey was.
bad place.
Yes, absolutely. That is correct. Mama Mina, is the propaganda,
That's right.
and one of the beautiful things that Garvey did, he was reversing all the propaganda. you know, like he called he called the nurses the Black Cross nurses, the Black Star Line steamship. He was reversing the propaganda, and as Brother Ikosi was saying, it's gonna take Black people globally, not just on the continent, but throughout the diaspora, to unite and create and build the Africa that we want to see, and basically emancipate ourselves economically. So both of those are absolutely correct. It's almost like we have to undo a lot of what was done, and a lot of it is,
That's right.
yes, yes, and it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job, but you know, there is some progress, so we have to just strive to be better always.
Race first. May I add something too, please?
Absolutely, go ahead.
It's I like to call all Black males CEO instead of the N word. And so I was speaking with a CEO by the name of Money. And I was in our brainstorm, we was speaking about this matter as far as like, you know, commitment and consistency, as far as like encourage things like that. Paraphrasing some of the great Garveyite scholars of today, as in relations towards being for Black people, African people globally. And so I had came up with this analogy, if you will, that on the chessboard, how does the king move as far as commitment and consistency and even creativity? And so on the chessboard, the king moves one step at a time. So it's gonna take a lot of planning, critical thinking, you know, risk assessment, emergency preparedness, things that make basically everything that a corporate government, you know, a corporation, but a corporate government has. That's what all those. I feel like all of those departments and branches, and you know, even here, it's a lot of things that's gonna be needed to amplify and continue energizing the process for us to be able to make galactic trade. Just like you know, people on the ocean making shipbuilding trade, we're gonna have to start aspiring to have galactic trade, because
and that is
it's already Star Wars. I say.
I love that. Thank you. We have to envision trading galactically or intergalactically, and you're absolutely right. Everything starts with one step at a time. You know, like the king, unlike the queen that can go everywhere, right? But you know, you start with one step at a time, and before you know it, you can go everywhere. And the first place that we have to master that is, you know, in the diaspora and on the African continent. So we have to not follow the propaganda that, you know, Africa is backwards and lions and tiger are gonna chase you back to the airport and all that stuff. We have to get all of that stuff, get away from all that. So thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. All right, so let's reveal the answer according to our study here. Ashe. So so it says that Guardian
Africa as the
Vision.
homeland. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. It says, if you want to read that, Mama Mina, you can go ahead.
Garvey envisioned Africa as a homeland and the future center of power for Black people worldwide. He believed that the liberation and advancement of Africa were essential for the global empowerment of people of African descent. Garvey advocated for the establishment of a strong, independent African nation that could provide economic and political support to Black communities around the world.
That's right. Thank you for that, Mama Mina. So that answer right there encompass a little bit of what we all touched on, a little bit of Mama Mina's answer, Brother Nkosi, Brother Art, absolutely. So yes. So the next question, discuss the importance of education in Garvey's plan for the upliftment of the Black race. So what we could do, just for the sake of time, if no one has anything to add, we can just ask the question and we can just take turns, like reading the answers. Since it's not really organized by the book, so in all fairness, maybe we could just use that approach. So can we reveal the answer, Brother John, and maybe get a volunteer to read the answer? Brother Art, can I volunteer you?
Sure you can. Discuss the importance of education in Garvey's plan for the upliftment of the Black race. Education was the cornerstone of Garvey's plan for the upliftment of the Black race. He believed that knowledge and intellectual development were crucial for achieving economic and political independence. The UNIA promoted the establishment of schools, vocational training, and cultural education to empower individuals with the skills and knowledge needed to succeed and contribute to the collective progress of the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brother Art. And the next question says, what if any questions or comments about what Brother Art just read? If not, so question 9 says, what were some of the challenges faced by the UNIA in its early years as highlighted in chapter 1? Can I get a volunteer to read the answers?
I'll read it, but I do have a question.
Okay, all right.
When we say early years, what do we consider the early years of Mr. Garvey and the UNIA?
I would say like in the humble beginnings before he got the, from childhood up to where he got the passion that culminated in the formulation of the UNIA. That's how I interpreted it, but do you want to read that answer, Brother John?
Sure. In its early years, UNIA faced several challenges, including financial difficulties, internal disagreements, and external opposition from.
I think you got muted.
Thank you. Additionally, the organization had to contend with skepticism and resistance from some segments of the Black community who were either wary of Garvey's racial ideas or aligned with different approaches to racial uplift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Does anyone wish to add anything to that?
What was your question again?
So it says, what were some of the challenges faced by the UNIA in its early years as highlighted in chapter 1? So it talks about some of the financial difficulties, the internal disagreements, the colonial and racist entities, some segments of the Black community, unfortunately. So,
Right. It
and I
wasn't.
think
It
the
wasn't
book,
right. It wasn't a safe. I mean, it was a harsh time, but they were growing. I would say they're growing up in it, but they had to bear with it and try to make things better for themselves.
absolutely, there were some struggles, and one of the good thing about the book is how it kind of shed the light and highlight, some of the struggles that
And you have
the race.
you have exactly the whole race. They had diminished our thinking. You have to change all that. It's like we had a Black Power movement here in the 60s, but before that, you better not call nobody Black. You understand? You better not. And we were
Mhm.
African people, but you better not say I'm no African. So all that kind of mentality, you have to change all that.
And all of that came back from the propaganda, was like
Come
deliberate
on.
propaganda
Exactly,
created.
exactly. So can
Mhm.
you imagine how it was at that
Yeah.
time?
But I think aside from all the f- the factions or all the struggles, and the 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 quest by the haters to stomp out what was going on. There was, I think, back then, there seemed to have been a lot more unity than now. At least to me, it seems that way. I mean, you talking about globally people in the millions. As when we get to talk about some of the numbers, as you'll see. But yeah, it was just more awareness of the struggle back then, I think.
Well,
I just
that
go
was
ahead.
not too long after the Civil War, so um, there was probably already a sense of unity um,
Yes.
at a high level
Mm-hmm.
at the time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Brother Art, let's get you to read the chapter, the question and answer to chapter and to ans to question 10. A little difficulty speaking there. Question 10. You can read the question and also the answer for question 10, just so we can move it along a little more. Now I'm doing it this way because the answers are not like direct from the book where we follow. So I think this format might be better. And when we review it, then I'll, kind of focus on what page of the book it came from. So you can, Brother John, you can read first the question, Brother Art, and then read the answer to number 10.
Madam Vice President.
Yes, sir.
I'm my approach to engaging in the meeting, the study group, the meeting is different because I'm on the phone, so I can't really engage the way I wish I could. So as far as with the question previously asked, I would like to attempt to speak on that part.
Oh, go ahead. You mean the question 9?
That you just asked? Yes, Madam President. Madam Vice President.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, you're go ahead, please.
As far as
I'm not. I didn't realize your hand was raised. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
No, I don't. I'm on the I'm by telephone, so I'm not actually in the Zoom app. So that's what
Okay,
I was
okay,
trying to
that's fine.
Okay. As far as some of the the problems or issues or not the problems that the UNIA initially faced, like what everyone just brought up about, like it was like a different mentality that one. I mean, it was a huge and like an extreme like I guess paradigm shift, if you will, that one would have to go from like not only having the courage to stand up for just your own race, but just like it's like we was indoctrinated to like have some type of to view aspiring for power was like you had to go ask permission, you know, and like even if you had an invention, you had to go get a patent. You couldn't just invent something and just bring it forth to the civilization. You had to go. You was indoctrinated to go get you know, approved by somebody outside of yourself or somebody outside of your ethnic group. And so if whatever you brought forth didn't totally bring, if an African brought something forth that would benefit him or herself and their family, their community, for their push towards social, cultural, and political destiny, and the power and not the powers that be, but other races, you would view that as some threat or some type of you know, irrelevancy, then it's like it's a extreme type of mentality and type of like focus and sense of purpose that one would have and say, like, you know, what he said, black man, what is in our bosom? Is it genius? Is it talent? Plug it out, let's have it. And so it's you, and then like, I mean, I just, you know, being Pan-African or being universal African, going at it on a global scheme and just saying that, you know, I don't know how I'm not able to like bring it to words right now because I'm trying to be so exact with
No,
what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, you're talking about the mentality of the folks back then, and then also the whole thing about the threat. I've always been like mind boggled about, you know, why is it such a threat that you have to, I mean, he wasn't advocating violence, and it's with all the leaders who try to
Well, it
uplift, you
is
know, there's
violence
all,
though. I believe that it is violence because they like just to segue to today. If we speaking about going and studying space policy, you know, as far as being intergalactic trade, they have the competitors. Our competitors have Star Wars, where they have militaristic operations of this. So you know that's gonna be a threat. So it's to them. So it's, I mean, I don't well, for me right now, I see it as that it is gonna be a threat, because if we on the chessboard and it's one side over, you know, the white side over there, and then, you know, of course for them the white side moved first, so they obviously see that it's a threat that we black people, African people on the move is a threat to them. So to stand up to that and say, you know what, it is, I mean, it is what it is, for lack of better words. One must become, and you know, we gonna have our aim, we're gonna have our destiny, and we're gonna have the Creator with us, within us, and for us. And who's gonna stop us besides our own selves? So, and like, you know, they used to raise a flag saying that a black man was, or a black person was lynched today. And I mean, just and not having to sit and, like, you know, learn from, you know, Sankofa, you go back to go forward. One of William Edward Bougar Du Bois, he talked about, like, you know, it wasn't a systematic educational approach towards cleaning, you know, with Carter G. Woodson, cleaning up that intended miseducation. And so here comes the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey saying, you know what, don't worry about it. We're gonna worry about it, and we're gonna channel all of our words, we're gonna channel all of our, ma'am.
No, yes, I hear you. I hear you. Yes. You have to persist. You have to persevere. And
Yeah.
if this was a true, you know, a true economy, free enterprise, it what another person does shouldn't be a threat. You know what I'm saying? But but the structure is kind of weird because there's a lot of things that even today is seen as a threat because it's all about money. So so if there's a natural cure, you know, that would be suppressed. And then of course they want to bring about the artificial thing that's gonna feed the pharmaceutical empires. So I mean, just not to deviate from our topic, but I recently was watching a video where this
Mhm.
doctor I diagnosed over 500 people with cancer that didn't have cancer, and
Mhm.
cancer is big business, so
Right.
it's crazy how money dictate a lot of things. So nowadays it's not just on us, but it's on anything that threaten the giant like the pharmaceutical industry and all this stuff. But absolutely,
Madam
no
Vice
matter
President,
what's going on. Yes.
that's how they always been. That's how they always been though. So it's they plant I forget who said it, but it's like they change it up as they go because like when they was doing at the time when they was just going at the time when they was making movements towards sieging a what do you call it, like sieging, I forget what you call those things, like well just lack of better word, sieging a castle, you know they were bringing, they're bringing a Trojan horse, right? And then in the inside, there's like it's a gift. But then when you open it up, here you got, if you will, the coronavirus coming out. So, it's not like
This
they change
cartoon
it.
in my eyes is annoying.
But one of the things is good too, like you're talking about a Trojan horse, but one of the things that we have to be better at, we have to be better at recognizing the Trojan horse. So since you mentioned coronavirus, I mean, not to go off on a topic again, but to me, when this whole thing started and it was very scary because of the propaganda that was done in the media, but
The
it was
vulnerability
also
we had.
it was also scary and people were vulnerable. But me, I was thinking, I'm seeing all these people lining up, but the first thing that came to my mind was the Tuskegee experiment. And I'm like,
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
and when I thought about that, I wasn't in that line. I'll just leave it there. I wasn't in that line because I was thinking about what happened with the Tuskegee experiment. And that's something we can all, Google and learn a little bit more about if we're not versed on it. But I'm just saying, just my knowledge of that, that's why it's important to know history. My knowledge of that kept me out of the line. We'll just like say that. But in terms of moving on though, so Brother Nkosi, since you're, if you don't mind, could you read answer 10 and the question 10 and the answer for question 10, please?
I don't have the text. I don't have the text with me.
Oh, you're not
Oh,
able to see the screen?
No, no,
You're not, no, that's fine.
I'm
You
on
can't
call.
see the screen, right?
I cannot, Madam Vice President. I'm on call
Okay,
in.
that's fine. That's fine. No worries. No worries. Okay, so mommy, can you go ahead and read the question for 10 and the answer?
question
I would-
10. How did Garvey
Somebody
speeches
got it?
and write?
Yeah, how did Garvey, go ahead. How did Garvey's
How did Garvey's
speeches and
speeches
writing?
and writings contribute to the speed of the UNIA's message?
To the spread of the UNIA?
His charismatic oratory. That's the answer, I guess.
So you can start where it says 810, and which A is the answer and Q is question. So 810 says Garvey's speeches and writing.
Were instrumental in spreading the UNIA's message. His charismatic oratory and powerful prose inspired and mobilized people across the globe. Garvey's ability to articulate the struggles and aspirations of Black people resonated deeply, helping to build a strong and dedicated following for the UNIA. His publications, such as The Negro World, served as platforms for disseminating his ideas and rallying his support for the movement. Okay.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Okay, so Brother John, let's see what question 11. You can reveal question 11, question and answer, and we can have a volunteer to read that. Sister Alexandra, would you like to read question 11 and the answer to question 11? We're doing the format a little different this week.
I'll read it if you want.
Okay, that'll be fine. Go ahead, please, Brother Anthony. Thank you for joining us.
How did Marcus Garvey travel? And my screen is I'm on a phone, so
That's fine. Can you read it good? Can we want us to blow it up a little more?
You can read it if anyone can't see it.
okay, let me. We're on is that question 11? Oh, that's back down to 1.
Yes.
Okay. Marcus Garvey traveled to Central America, Europe, United States, and exposed the spread of racial injustice faced by Black people. These experiences reinforced, I'm gonna have to skip somewhere, global movement to uplift the race and foster his vision for the UNIA as intended organization dedicated to Black unity and empowerment.
Right, as an international organization dedicated to Black unity and power.
I mean, when you
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So again, as we saw earlier, the travels, he came to the conclusion, whether it was in Central America, whether it was in Europe, throughout the United States, the main commonality was injustice that the Black race was facing. And so this kind of fueled the his mission to create the UNIA and the dedication to Black empowerment and upliftment, as we will see as we continue to go through the various chapters in the book. Anyone have any questions or comments to add to
Yes, I would
question
like to make a
11?
comment. Yes, ma'am. So I'm gonna reread the question statement. Marcus Garvey's travels to Central America, Europe, and the United States exposed him to the widespread racial injustice faced by Black people. These experiences reinforced his belief in the need for a global movement to uplift the race and foster his vision for the UNIA as an international organization dedicated to Black unity and empowerment. I think this was a good idea, and I'm proud of him. I'm proud of everyone on the phone call for still being here, lifting it up, and improving Black people and keeping on his legacy. I think some things has to do with, I don't know, this is just something we could probably talk about now or later, of the Bible. You know how they say certain colored people and maybe body features have different generational curses than other people's, and that's why they are in poverty, because their Messiah hasn't came yet. But Marcus Garvey saw that probably, and just went ahead and just said everybody is in the UNIA if you're Black and have African descent. So a Messiah can come and take you and your people out of poverty and improve you to be a better man and woman. So that's what I get out of number 11 for the answer. Thank you for letting me speak.
Absolutely, Sister Alexandra. So we see again, more propaganda, just uh things to
Well, no,
justify mistreatment of Black people globally. Oh yeah, you're supposed to go through this kind of struggle because your race was cursed. And you know, what Garvey did was he shed light on a lot of the propaganda. It's like, all the angels are white and all the demons are black. It's the same nonsense. So
that's because they changed
absolutely.
all the pictures. They changed all the pictures. That the pictures they got, the original pictures were all black, but they changed them
Yeah,
all.
yes. More propaganda and, justifying that. So thank you for that, Sister Alexandria, and thank you for that, Brother Anthony. And so we can go ahead and show a question, the question and answer for question 12. And somebody could volunteer and read that one as well.
You have question 12 covered up.
Brother John? Thank you. All right. So if I can get a volunteer, or I could go ahead and just read it. Question 12 says, what role did the concept of Pan-Africanism play in the formation of the UNIA? And the answer is, or one of the answer, there's like no one answer. I mean, a lot of these answers can be subjective. So anyway, the Pan-Africanism, the idea that all people of African descent share a common heritage and destiny, played a crucial role in the formation of the UNIA. Garvey embraced Pan-Africanism as a foundational principle, advocating for the solidarity and collective action of Black people worldwide to achieve liberation and self-determination. Any question, comments, concern about question 12?
I think
Go ahead, Brother Anthony. Did you want to add something to that?
yeah. Hold on.
No, ma'am.
And medicine ain't in my bag.
If you want to add something, you can come off mute. If you're not speaking, you can mute the phone. Brother Anthony, were you gonna add to that question?
Yeah, but I'm in a noisy background, so
Okay, that's fine.
I'm trying to
No worries.
mute. I'm trying to mute now.
Okay, that's fine. Does anyone else wanted to add anything to question 12 before we move to the next one? Okay, can I get a volunteer to read the question 13 and the answer for question 13? You can reveal the answer and question for question 13, Brother John.
Huh.
Sister Mina?
You want me to read it? Describe the impact of Garvey's slogan, Africa for the Africans, on the UNIA's mission.
And the answer
Africans
as
for
well?
Africans. That's right. Take care of some business, Black folks. And be for yourselves. Africa for the Africans.
Yes, absolutely. And you can read the answer as well for number
Garvey's
13.
slogan, Africa for the Africans, emphasized the importance of African self-rule and the return of the African diaspora to their ancestral homeland. This slogan became a rallying cry for the UNIA, symbolizing the organization's commitment to the decolonization and development of Africa as a sovereign and prosperous continent for Black people, without a doubt.
Thank you so much for that, Sister Amina. Any questions, comments, or addition to that to number 13? Brother John, could you please reveal the question and answer for 14, and could you read that as well, please?
Trying to.
Sure. Question 14, what were some of the strategies used by Garvey to promote the UNIA's message? Answer, Garvey used various strategies to promote the UNIA's message, including public speeches, parades, rallies, and the publication of newspaper and books. He leveraged his skills as an orator and writer to communicate the organization's goals, mobilize supporters, and build a global network of UNIA chapters.
Thank you so much for that, Brother John. Any questions or comments? Does anyone like to add to question 14? I think that one's pretty straightforward. One of the things that Garvey was committed to do was to create our own, tell our own story, counter all the propaganda. And once he set out on his mission, he says first thing he has to do is, create our own media or newspaper, and that's exactly what he did. And no doubt his printing background helped him to master that really well. So can I get a volunteer for question 15 and the answer? You can go ahead and reveal that, Brother John. I can go ahead and read that if there's not a volunteer. So question 15 says, how did Garvey address the issue of racial pride in his teachings? And the answer to that is, Garvey emphasized racial pride by encouraging Black people to take pride in their heritage, culture, and history. He challenged the negative stereotypes perpetuated by white supremacy, and he urged Black people to celebrate their achievements and potential. Garvey's teaching aimed to instill a sense of dignity, self-respect in the Black community. Anyone wish to add to number 15? Any questions or comments? Okay, so let's take a look at question and answers for number 16. And if I could get a volunteer for that one, that would be great.
Explain the significance of the Black Star. Sorry, it went out.
1 second, go ahead.
Explain the significance of the Black Star Line and Garvey's vision for economic independence.
Can reveal that, pull down the answer for that. Okay. And read the answer as well, please.
The Black Star Line was a shipping company established by Garvey to facilitate trade and transportation amongst Black communities globally. It symbolized Garvey's vision for economic independence by promoting Black enterprise and providing a means for the reparations of people of African descent to Africa. The Black Star Line was intended to a tangible example of Black economic self-sufficiency.
Thank you so much for that. So, so that's like he wanted to repatriate the people for back to Africa, because the whole idea is the whole idea of trying to be a government within a government, you can only get so far. And so the way to establish and have your own government was repatriation to the African continent. Does anyone want to add to or comment to
Yeah.
question?
I like that. Maybe you can hear me, and maybe I have to, do a writing at one point. But the economic situation as we sit today, of course, during that time, there was a great amount of suppression, but through that suppression, we were able to individually and in different areas at different times build, supersede what they were doing in that category, and still was able to do trade, do business, and make money. The thing is today, being that we already into a new industry, I think right now, and we have been incorporated ourselves inside this society, this government, this land that we all participate in. So right now, it's a means of collectively doing things economically to make a shift, and a massive shift, and then also massive shift to build and establish things, which we can do. And we have to take the tools and networks that we have and work them and have no fear in doing them, and then collectively pool resources so that we can build certain things in the communities wherever we are and whatever we're doing in those different areas. And that's how the establishment, I feel, of our empowerment will come. I mean, just take what you got and make it work. Be creative, because we have those skills. And I think that's my opinion, and my truly belief that I know that it can happen, because in small ways I've seen, and we all seen communities begin to thrive a little bit, and collectively thrive a little bit, and have meeting places where they put things together where they thrive, and just keep doing that and doing that and doing it, and then let it grow. Take care of your health and do those different things. A platform is presented to make some progress financially, then we need to collectively get behind that project, whatever project it is that someone wants to work on, then that's fine. I mean, I noticed that we are doing distribution of personal home products that we make. Now, those products should be collectively put together and mass distributed amongst ourselves with the same format and same system that exists for mass distribution. That's something. So that's something that we have to do. I mean, I've mentioned it to various people. I'm out in the field all the time. I say, okay, if you don't want to do this, then what about this? Because, oh, and then you can't worry about if you got something on the shelf or you got something in the system and it's not moving the way you're supposed to be moving. You just have to keep pushing that product and those service in our distribution process so that it'll grow over time.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen people do startups. I'm talking with some people now that they doing startups, other ethnicity. So, you have to begin to collectively do that, And some things have been in existence for 6,000 years. Over 6,000 years. It ain't gonna change. That's where it goes. You see? And all the, like Garvey himself, he put things together and it was a mass move. And that networked into a lot of different things in our Black community.
Yes.
But over time, it helps. But I don't want to take too much time. But that's an important factor that we have to come together, sit down at the table, and these things have to be done. They just have to be done. Take the tools that we have. Yo.
Yes. I appreciate what you said. You said network without fear. Network without fear, pool our resources. And we all know Mr. Garvey was all about economic emancipation and doing for self. So I like what you said. We have to get behind each other's projects, support these projects, and learn about mass distribution. We know that Garvey was a master in mobilizing and getting people on one page. I mean, the membership, I know that the times were a little different and different things were going on, but still, I mean, that was just massive what he did, how he globally mobilized everyone. That's how we have to think today.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes, and so
I want to make one point. It's nothing really different under the sun. It's just done a certain way, but it's nothing really different. I mean, a lot of things have massively changed. Some things are going behind the door, but we have to go past that. That.
Yes, and also on Thursday nights, it's every other Thursday, right, Brother John? The business meeting, the one.
Yes, every other Thursday.
Every other Thursday, we do have a business meeting. So this is where we share ideas and come together and deal with the economic piece. Because I mean, I personally don't think we're gonna go anywhere until we handle that piece. And I think that that UNIA should be the exemplary organization for handling the economic piece, because that's what Mr. Garvey was all about.
Yes.
So thank you for that, Brother Francis.
Thank you as well.
Yes. So let's take a look at the question and answer for 17. And if I can get a volunteer for that one as well, that would be amazing.
So how long do we go to 10 o'clock?
We usually stop at 10, yes. So we can knock a few more of these out. Unless you want to go longer, but we're trying to, keep everyone's time.
Long enough.
So we want to keep everyone's time in mind. That's why I'm doing it the way we're doing, to kind of move it along more. So just to kind of, because we're learning as we're doing this and we're sharing. So it's one way to do it, So let's, if I can go ahead and take this one. Question 17 says, what challenges did the Black Star Line face, and how did they impact the UNIA? Okay, and the answer is the Black Star Line faced numerous challenges, including financial mismanagement, sabotage, and opposition from both external entities and internal factions. So these challenges led to the eventual failure of the company, which negatively impacted the UNIA by causing financial losses and diminishing the credibility of Garvey's economic initiative. Anyone like to add or comment on that question?
All of that still holds today. All of it.
Yes, that is correct, in a different form. Which means, Mama Mina, we still have a long way to go, correct?
Exactly. Even in my junior college days, we just was protesting, I guess it was the Vietnam War, whatever it was. One of the main would-be leaders of the group turned out to be an FBI agent. You understand? So you will have some internal. That's right. I mean, they're there.
Wow.
Even in your black organization, they are there. You hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well,
so
we can only
sabotage and internal fractions will appear.
Yes. We can only hope there is none amongst us, but continue the work, you know. We can only hope there's none amongst us while we continue the work.
The thing is this. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, this is where the Creator put signs on the earth for man to follow. And that put us at a better advantage. We had to be telling you we had to do the things we had to do and do them, take action and do them collective. Two of us did greatness. There's one to kick it off good. But you got to be like that. And who cares if the FBI, CIA, you know, who cares? You do it right, you do it with pride.
Right. And it goes back to what you said earlier. Network and do what we have to do without fear. Because at the end
Marcus Garvey did that. How you think he grew?
Absolutely.
To make that ripple. It was small. Didn't come exactly how I wanted to be, nor did everybody wanted to go back there. You know, but nonetheless, it made an effect and an impact on growth of us as a people. So we can't let that go. I mean, we get something together, who cares? You know, you do it right, we do it proud, it's going to exist. We got the creator.
Right.
You know, we got the creator. I'm telling you, we got the creator, you know?
Absolutely.
So, no,
absolutely. And if we watch other races, you know, like I said, things are always going to go on. You know, it's part of the human experience. There's always going to be things going on, but we have to persevere. We have to persevere. We still have the job of emancipating our people. We still have the job of creating economic situations, you know, for ourselves. And we still have the job of, you know, succeeding together, uniting together, and creating together. That won't change. Yes. So if no one else has any questions or comment for 17, we can take a look at a few more as we approach. It's about 9:40, so we can do a few more of these for the next 15-20 minutes or so. Brother Art, can you take number 18 and the answer, please?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. How did Marcus Garvey's views on leadership differ from other Black leaders of his time? They he was more of a he wanted to unite us, whereas some of the other leaders didn't. Okay, Marcus Garvey's views on leadership emphasize self-reliance and the importance of Black people leading their own movements without relying on white allies. This contrasted with other Black leaders of his time who advocated the integration and cooperation with white society. Garvey's stance on leadership was rooted in his belief in Black autonomy and empowerment.
Thank you for that, Brother Art. Would anyone like to add any comment to that?
I would.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, race first. And so that's what like when I be speaking about like that intergalactic trade, I believe that's that purports like the initiative towards self-reliance. Because as far as I know, with telecommunication, with communications towards each other, we utilize sources or technology, spiritual technology, if you will, outside of ourselves. You know, the cellular towers, the Wi-Fi satellites, you know what I mean? These are things that actually exist. So if they exist, then they can be, you know, recreated by our own initiative. And so I know it's a tremendous, well, it's not tremendous because it's you know, they got Wi-Fi wireless engineering, what do you call it, degrees, if you will. And it's a path to us actually making our own type of communications that's based on from our own energies. And because it's like we rely right now we rely on other it's like we rely on all these other people's mind projects, if you will, and attempting to like gain something and attempting to gain power from it. And so that's why I believe like trucking, you know, transfer on what do you call logistic trucking to like, all right, now you can go and study maritime trade now, or now you can go study aeronautical trade now, and then you can take it to aerospace trade now. And so I mean it's I don't think it's overwhelming with what can be done for us to really start our path, well, continue on our path towards our path towards like having African self-initiative drives from our own energies outside and not relying on anybody else. Is just having, I guess, looking at the reality and the necessity of it, to say that, you know, we ain't got nothing to lose right now. We ain't got nothing to lose besides just actually losing. And so, because nothing we own I don't feel like anything we own we possess it, because, you know, they can always come. The competitors of our competitors can always come up with some type of policy, some type of memorandum, some type of you know, initiative to say like, hey, you know, you really don't self-possess yourself. So I'm going to, you know, I'm going to indoctrinate some type of mass communications that you won't interpret because it's a non-verbal language. So I feel like I think we should start with telecommunications, and you start with telecommunications, we're gonna need intergalactic trade. But, you know, I yield.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. And definitely, brother Nkosi, you got to get on our business meetings, because this is where, you know, the dialogue is all about economics and different things we can do economically to propel us forward. But as it was mentioned earlier, we have to be strategic. We have to play chess, you know, and whatever struggles and obstacles we face today is what Garvey faced. It's just a different era, but it's the same And then even when you look at technology, you know, technologies can be viewed as a double-edged sword. Technology could be our greatest friend, but it could also be our greatest enemy. So while people out there, the force, whatever you want to call them, is creating sinister things with technology, we can come in and say, well, here's a better use for technology. Here's a use for technology that can uplift humanity. Then we start thinking small, you know, like one piece at a time. You move the king one piece at a time, but as you build a foundation, a steady foundation, then you can, you know, build on top of that. And then we start thinking, you know, locally, nationally, internationally, and then intergalactically. But it all starts somewhere, and we have to be strategic. And I have to keep going back to what Brother Francis said. We have to network without fear. So that's kind of definitely communication.
Sister Diane and Brother Nkosi, you know, a lot of their technology was created by us anyway.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So
exactly, Brother Art.
Race first.
100%. 100%. Thank you for that, Brother Art.
We because you know we bend over and they playing the board, they playing the game on our back. So it's
yeah,
all power.
it's a big
to
game and we have to play. It's a big game and we got to play the game to win. That's it. We're not hurting anyone. We're improving ourselves economically. Everybody does that. It's you know, it's preservation of self, you know. So, and you know, and yeah, we have to think like for self, we have to think like for our community, and self, family, community, and racially. I mean, everybody else thinks that way. Why is it a problem why are we a threat to anybody? You know? So yeah, but then not to get carried away. So Brother Nkosi, can you go ahead and take question 19 as well as the answer? Question 19, please. Brother John, can you reveal 19 and the answers, please?
Race first. Discuss the role of women in the early years of the UNIA as highlighted in chapter 1.
And then the answer to 19 as well, please. Brother Nkosi, can you see that?
Yes, I can. Madam Vice President, race first. Black Queens of Beauty played a significant role in the early years of the UNIA, participating actively in its activities and holding leadership positions. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey recognized the contributions of women and encouraged their involvement in the movement. Black women, Black Queens of Beauty, and the UNIA were instrumental in organizing events, managing administrative tasks, and promoting the organization's message.
Thank you for that, Brother Nkosi. Does anyone wish to add anything else to question 19?
One question, why wasn't the Black Cross nurses included? Or how would that be included?
The Black Cross nurses were included.
The Black Cross nurses was one of the big thing that you know, women played a role as a Black Cross nurses, and Lady President, I think she has a Wednesdays. She has a meeting for the Black Cross nurses.
And if it had not been for both, he had two Amy's, Amy Ashwood and Amy Jacques. Both of those wives helped him in the growth of the UNIA. Both of them. Wife number 1 and 2.
helped him immensely.
Yeah, that's a
Without a
pretty
doubt.
loaded question.
Say that again?
It's a lot of ways we can answer that question.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Would you like to add to that, Brother John?
No, my only comment was the Black Cross Nations. That's all.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Brother John, can you take question 20 and the answers, please? As we come close to 10 o'clock, we can make this, maybe we'll have time for one or two more. We're on 20, I think.
What were some of the educational initiatives promoted by the UNIA under Garvey's leadership? UNIA promoted various educational initiatives, including the establishment of schools and vocational training programs. These initiatives aim to equip Black individuals with the skill and knowledge necessary for economic self-sufficiency and leadership. The UNIA also emphasized cultural education to foster a sense of pride and identity among Black people.
Thank you for that, Brother John. Does anyone wish to add anything else to that? If not, we can do 21. I guess we can stop at about 9:55 and then we can close out. So question 21, I'll just go ahead and read that. It says, how did Garvey's vision for the UNIA compare to other contemporary Black movements? And the answer to that is Garvey's vision for the UNIA was distinct in its emphasis on Pan-African.
Diane, you went on mute.
Establishment of a unified global Black identity. Unlike other contemporary Black movements that focus on civil rights within specific countries, Garvey advocated for a transnational approach that included the repatriation to Africa and the creation of a powerful African nation. Anyone would like to add or comment to about number 21?
Could you read that over? I missed it.
Sure. It says, how did Garvey's vision for the UNIA compare to other contemporary Black movements? It's a question. And then the answer says, Garvey's vision for the UNIA was distinct in its emphasis on Pan-Africanism, economic independence, and the establishment of a unified global Black identity. Okay. And unlike other contemporary Black movements that focus on civil rights within specific countries, Garvey advocated for transnational approach that included the repatriation to Africa and the creation of a powerful African nation. And we could make this the last questions. And if anyone would like to add or comment to that.
Just to clarify for the audience, what would we consider other contemporary Black movements at that time?
Well, at Garvey's time, we had I believe we had the NAACP.
NAACP.
Right. NAACP.
And they were pushing for what? They were pushing for Integration.
Yes,
Integration,
go
yeah.
ahead. Yes, go ahead, Nominina. So they had a more integrative, they were more integrative in their thinking and in their approach, while Garvey was more independent thinking, doing for self, not worry about integration or, getting others to do for us type of thing. Anyone else wanted to add to that?
And he and Du Bois had a beef, so they had a beef. They didn't like each other, so
Right,
Well, they had different ideologies,
right.
and it took and Du Bois had to retire and say, "Oh, whoa, wait a minute, maybe I made a mistake back in the day."
yeah. But he called Garvey out his name too.
Well,
I want to add something. I found something what Martin Luther King said about Marcus Garvey. He said Marcus Garvey was the first man of color in the history of the United States to lead and develop a mass movement. He was the first man on a mass scale and level to give millions of Negroes a sense of dignity and destiny and make the Negro feel that he was somebody. As we stand here, let us pledge ourselves to continue to struggle in this same spirit of somebodyness, in the conviction that all Owenyame's or all of the Creator children are significant. That Owanyame, the Creator, black children are just as significant as his let's call it swarthy children, and will not stop, and we will not stop until we have let's call economic freedom in all its dimensions, or not just economic freedom, but you just can't say freedom like that no more today, because freedom don't really, you got to really explain what freedom, what type of freedom you're talking about. But thank you.
Yeah, yes, thank you for that, Brother Nkosi. We're just as significant, our children are just as significant, and as Garvey would put it, what one man can do, we can also do. Once it's done and it's possible, we can do it. And that we touched on that when we were doing the African the course in African philosophy study. And so yes, self-reliance, we're just as significant, we're just as important. Absolutely.
I also want to add too that we got to respond. We don't just have a responsibility to humanity. Us being us being the parent race, I believe we got a responsibility to the entirety of the ecosystem, from from eco-terrorism to what do you call it? Germicide, because
Yes.
to germicide, like because our competitors are utilizing insects as weapons. And so, I feel like we can't just, I think that if we really take on the status of Adam, with all due respect, with saying that, just as given the task of Adam to name everything, Adam and of course Dinkinesh also has the responsibility to protect and also provide for the entirety of things. So so that causes I don't know the name of it, but that causes a different type of chain of reaction. So if you got to provide for like a nematode, to exist, then it's a different type of power structure or a different type of power holder or wielder you're gonna have to harness, versus just worrying about yourself with food, clothing, and shelter. You also got to make sure that let's call it parasites that have power are not destroying other ecosystems that they feel like is irrelevant. So I think that adding that on to our responsibilities gives the African womb man and man a different sense of drive to not only obtain power, utilize power appropriately, but also make sure that you nurture it and keep it within you, more or less.
Absolutely. Did you want to add to that, Brother Art? I'm sorry, I thought you were
What
trying to say.
about it right there?
Yes, so absolutely. So, um, you know, it's I guess this would be called eco-terrorism. You know, they're messing with the food, they're messing with the weather. And some people hear some of the things, it's so mind-boggling that they believe that it's conspiracy, or that's the word that's used to shut you up. Oh, it's just conspiracy. But I was watching something recently, and literally the man sat there on the video and he says, oh yeah, we've now found a way to put the vaccine in lettuce. So when you go to the store to buy lettuce for your salad, you're not thinking you're eating a vaccine. And I actually saw that video. Now, did I go and do some in-depth facts checking and all that? You know, we always have to do our own research. But the mere fact that that's even being mentioned, it's really mind-boggling. And I mean, everyone is entitled to their opinion and choose to believe what they want, but I don't have any doubts about the weather tampering stuff and the chemtrails and all of that. So you're right. I guess the word for that would be economic terrorism. So the only way you know what's in your food, the only way you know what's in your food is when you grow it in your backyard. We've come
If you
away
grow it
from that, but
yourself, grow it yourself. That's right. Grow it yourself.
we have to get back to that.
They call like the tampering with the weather. As far as what I found out about it, they call it cloud seeding, and so they rationalize it, saying like, well, we figured that we did, you know, this is our competitors now. They say that they did is research that was been done since the 50s, 1950s. That's far as that's what's out documented, that the reason why they have cloud seeding is to manipulate, you know, the weather in order, so if it's a drought comes about, a natural drought comes about, then they can go and like now they have the rationalization towards what do you call it, the mass population, to say like, okay, it's not chemtrails, it's just that we're just trying to make it rain, you know, we just trying to make it rain so we won't have a drought. So, you know, it's like you got to stay on top of it, because you, like you said, the vaccine and lettuce, you know, they come and say, well, we put other things in food that you eat for different reasons. So, you know, but if you don't know that, but if you don't keep intact that, you know what I'm saying, that it was something called an Eve cell, that what they did, they say like the reason why they went and they basically terrorized Henrietta Lacks, it was so they can further science, but you know, at whose cost? So it's like you got to stay on top of things, and come with for me, I like the African centered view, because you always kind of have a reference point to say like, okay, who is being sacrificed for the advancement of civilization, and whose civilization is it? You know, so I say,
they call it collateral damage. When they sacrifice people and they play with your food and your water, and it's just not, it's not okay. It can never be okay.
Right. And also too, they also in their sociology, they call it antagonistic cooperation.
Wow, that's a new one. Antagonistic cooperation.
Wow. To say like, if we agree, we are in agreement to disagree.
Okay.
Yeah. What book is that? That came from a sociology textbook. I can't. Of course I can put it in the you know, in our communication chats, you know, where it's referenced from.
Definitely. Brother Malik, is that the name of the book, Project Sirius? I think Brother Malik was adding a reference in a book. Brother Malik, you're still on the call?
Project Sirius was the name of the that's what it was dubbed under, Project Sirius. Yeah, but it's also, I also put the link to to a report in the chat.
Are you familiar with Transatlantic Productions on YouTube?
No.
It's a channel that our ancestor Clemson Brown, he started Transatlantic Productions, and he had a segment referencing like towards it was a book that was referenced about cloud seeding. The video name is Brother Dixon, and so yeah, it's a thick book where they talk about, well, I think they were speaking about I don't know what they was referencing. Then when I did a research on Wikipedia, they was talking about that it was for like the rationalization of it was for like it was just, you know, if a drought came about, then that's why they would go and, you know, mess with the clouds. It was to prevent droughts, things like that. But of course, you know, we know about chemtrails and all of that. But I yield. Ashe, thank you for the time.
And what's the name again? Transatlantic what?
Thank you for that.
Transatlantic Production. Transatlantic
TAP.
Okay. I'll look it up.
Brother Malik, I would have called on you more, but you disappeared from the screen, so I was just calling on the names that I could see. So
No,
thank
I'm
you for
still out
that.
here at this game.
Say that again?
No, I'm still out here at this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Anyone? Go ahead, Brother Malik.
No one's saying anything.
Okay. Would anyone like to add or comment as we get ready to close out?
Yes. Brother Imhotep here. Please forgive me. I was traveling on the road and I couldn't.
Hi, Brother Imhotep. Thank you for joining us. Would you like to add or comment on the last piece as we get ready to close out?
Pardon me?
Would you like to add or comment on the last piece as we get ready to close out?
Well, just on that question, I can't recall if it was question 11 or question 13 on Pan-Africanism. Garvey was not a Pan-Africanist. Garvey was a African nationalist.
Okay.
W.E.B. Du Bois was a Pan-Africanist, and he had those several Pan-Africanist conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Garvey did not attend any of those conferences because there was at the time, and we had a guest speaker who really distinguished what the difference was. Garvey, and what we need to do is define what is Pan-Africanism and what is an African nationalist. And Garvey says what he means is a African nationalist when he says Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. Yeah. And Pan-Africanism is a variation of that. It's more inclusive. The problem is you have some Arabs right now.
That are taking over Egypt.
Yeah, several African countries, and they're mainly in North Africa. Those are the Arabs. But when Garvey says Africa for the Africans, he means the if you're not African, you gotta go.
You got to go.
Yeah, it's Africa for the Africans.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So and And I'm thinking even if you Google Pan-Africanist, African nationalists, I'm not quite certain what you'll get, but you won't get that distinction that Garvey is talking about.
Well, yeah.
If you're not an African and you're in Africa, yeah, you got to go. Okay, and he means the Arabs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
So just want to make that distinction.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Brother
Thank you for
yes.
Are you familiar with Tony? He made the book Tony Walker.
Tony Walker. No, I'm not
Tony
familiar.
Walker. I think it's Tony Walker. He did
Tony
the book.
Browder?
He actually has a segment on
You
YouTube
mean
now.
Anthony Browder? You mean
Man.
Anthony Browder?
No, he has a Tony
You mean
Walker.
Anthony Browder?
Tony Robin Walker.
Robin Walker. I've heard that name. I'm not.
He wrote the book, or he authored the book When We Rule, and several other books, but that was like one of his main a thick book. And he also has a segment on YouTube. He also has a segment on YouTube with the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey's son, Julius Garvey, where they speak about different topics on African history and African politics and African world information. And so he had brought up the being specific with classifying ethnology, the ethnological studies, because Robin Walker brought up the connotation, if you will, about like the Africans that's in Asia. Now he was like, if we tell the Africans in Asia to identify themselves as Africans, then their political powers that would be like, oh yeah, so you African, so you don't have any say over here in Asia. So he was saying like we should just Robin Walker was said with the ancestor Runoka Rashidi was referencing towards like we African everywhere, and the Delete Indians in Asia, they Africans too, but as far as politically, if they posit themselves as being African, or legally posit themselves as being African, rather than just being an entirety of Black, what the issues that will come up about that. So, I think we of course we got to get together and like make this a firm definition on what things are and what things are not, because I heard that if you define the word Arab, that's Black. So like the ancient word, the ancient definition of Arab is Black. So yeah, it's a lot of work that got to be done to put things in the right context, especially for the Africans' benefit.
Yes. And sometimes we have to go back, like the Sankofa, go back to see what we were doing when we ruled. What were we doing, instead of allowing ourselves to just be ruled, But anyway, that's I've heard that book before. So that's Robin Walker, When We Ruled.
Yes, and also another book, The Anatomy of Power, or Definitions of Power by Dennis Rome. That's a good one because it talks about like it gives you like scientific definitions of power, such as domination, military power, organization of power, stuff like that.
Awesome.
So,
that sounds like a good one. Appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you also for sharing, Brother Malik. I guess on that note, I've appreciate having everyone on the call today. Appreciate the amazing discussion. And, we can go on and on talking, but, it is 10 o'clock and 15 actually. And so to respect everyone's time, we're gonna go ahead and close out and just, make one last call for any final questions, comments on any of what we covered this evening.
I got some I want to bring in.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
essay authorship, like being able to write essays. I think it's, yeah, because, writing enhances your reading abilities. And so, we're going to have to start, of course, we're going to have to really read. I think it's going to get to a point where, every series African going to at least have a stock, personal stock library of at least a minimum of like 300 books minimum, dealing with the world now. We're not just, because I mean, even just your community, just being where you are, geophysically located presently, that probably can take maybe 1,000 books, just so you can stay on top of things. And, dealing with the world, because and also the cosmos too, I think the standard is going to have to be a minimum of 300 books. And we got to take advantage of the market on books, because you could probably find some good books at reasonable prices, and then we got the benefit of Sankofa going back to look forward, because it's a lot of texts that if we came out of our human trafficking terrorism that was put on us, and you had these books that say, okay, here's what leadership is, here is what institution building is, here is what nation science is, and acquire those things and apply them to your daily habits or daily routine, I think it would benefit us too. And it's the science of essays. I think, like, studying how to write an essay, studying how to research methodology. It's, I mean, because ultimately we're gonna have to start writing dissertations for real, because it's a lot of tangible skills that comes with writing essays, writing dissertations, acquiring this deductive thinking and critical thinking, syllogistical thinking, because you can transfer that over to now thermodynamics and fluid mechanics, and what is it called, potpourri, aromatherapy, or natural therapy. So it's a lot, and also look up the branches of science, because it's a plethora of sciences out there that one can channel their innate cognitive style. Like, you got linguistic thinking, you got spatial thinking, you have kinesthetic thinking. So it's like, we have a lot of tools that we can utilize to self-develop ourselves for the African race globally, here, there, everywhere.
Definitely.
That was it.
Definitely, brother Nkosi. So we can, translate these ideas into tangible ways that we could benefit as a whole. So those are some great ideas, and definitely, do hop on the economic side of things every other Thursday, because I'm sure there's some great ideas you've got that we can use in our endeavor to become economic masters, control our own economy. So on that note, I guess we should go ahead and close out as we go over time here. So brother Otep, if you're still on the line, brother John, would you like to say any last words before we close out?
Just gonna say great job, Sister Diane, leading. Great job from everyone that participated. Yeah, a great session for tonight, as Dr. Kuda said. So thank you. Thank everyone.
Thank you as well. Thank you, Brother President. And Brother Otep, if you're still on the line, would you like to do us the honors of closing us out? Do the honors, rather, closing us out?
Surely. If everyone will come off mute and raise your right black fist and repeat after me. One God.
One God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One destiny.
One destiny.
Africa.
Africa.
For the Africans.
For the
For
Africans.
the Africans.
those at home,
those
those
at
at
home,
home,
and those abroad.
and
and
those
those
abroad.
abroad.
Race first.
Race first.
Race first.
Race first.
Peace and blessing and one love, everyone.